Today we're talking about the past simple. Last year we studied an almost endless list of grammatical items. Present simple, past simple, present continuous, past continuous, present perfect, possessive pronouns, sentence structures, some and any, adverbs, adjectives, much, many, little, few, question tags, and many more. Right. So, past simple was one of them. Some of you might even have studied it in their first year. But what was it all about again? The past simple is the tense we use when we want to talk about something that started and ended in the past. Let's take a look at some example sentences together. Yesterday I walked. Yesterday indicates it happened in the past, and we add ed to the verb to make the past simple tense. Last week they worked. Last week indicates it happened in the past, and we add ed to the verb to make the past simple tense. In 1996, she lived in New York. We're not living in 1996 anymore, it's 2013, so we are definitely talking about the past. And we only need to add a d because the verb to live already ends in an e. Okay, let's take another look at what we did here. Yesterday, the verb we're using is to walk. We then add ed to the verb and we get walked. Yesterday, I walked. Last week, the verb we're using is to work. Again, we add ed to the verb, which leaves us with worked, and we get last week, they worked. In 1996, the verb we're using is to live, which already ends in an e. So we just add a d and we get in 1996 she lived. Okay, now let's see if we can find some examples in pop music.
I tried carrying the weight of the world,
'cause all you wanted to do was dance.
Okay, now he was close, tried to domesticate you.
I walked, I ran, I jumped, I flew.
I got this feeling on the summer day when you were gone. I crashed my car into the bridge. I watched, I let it burn. I threw your shit into a bag and pushed it down the stairs. I crashed my car into the bridge.
Wait a minute. There were more past simple verbs in there. Watch the music bit again and write down the irregular verbs. Bring these notes to class. But there is more, of course. We also need to be able to make questions and negative sentences. To phrase a question, we need to use the verb to do. Since we're working on a past tense, we also need the past tense of to do, which would be did. Let's go back to our example sentences. Yesterday, I walked. We start our question with did, then the subject, and then the infinitive. Did I walk yesterday? Please note that the ed after walk has disappeared and the indication of time is now at the end of the sentence. Last week, they worked. Again, we start our question with did, then the subject, which is they, and then the infinitive. Did they work last week? Okay. Now can you do the last one yourself? Turning a positive sentence into a negative sentence is actually quite similar to turning it into a question. Again, we need to use the verb to do in the past tense, which is did, but we need to make it negative, so we get didn't. Yesterday I walked. We don't change anything about the start of the sentence. After the subject we add didn't and we take away the ed behind walk. Then we get yesterday I didn't walk. Last week they worked. Once again, the start of our sentence remains the same. After the subject we add didn't and then we take away the ed behind work. And we're done. Last week they didn't work. Can you do the last one?
Now